Hello, Year 3 and 4. This is your learning journey lesson, and this is all about achieving targets and setting ourselves a target. So, this is the last lesson before we start our tutorials tomorrow and Friday. So, we really need to be reflective in this one and think back to maybe a challenge that has been set, and maybe from one of these challenges that we've faced this half term, a target set from that. So our question that we're looking at today, can I set myself an achievable target that will help my learning? So again, this is personal to you, and you really need to think about whether it's a step for you to push yourself, or maybe you might be one of those children who needs to start thinking about actually interacting more with their online learning. Okay, so what we're going to use today is what's called a SMART target. Now, this stands for 5 different words, and we're going to unpick them today, and it's going to help us set a really good target. Okay, so our aim today, I can create SMART targets to help me manage and improve my learning. So for some of you, you may be looking at just specifically managing your learning and maybe creating yourself a timetable so that you actually engage in the learning that's set for you, and some children will be striving to improve their learning. So let's have a think about a success criteria. So this is what you need to do today in order to get to this aim. So I will set my own target using the SMART steps, using this step-by-step guide from my teacher so that I am ready for my one-to-one tutorial with Miss T. So this video for you today is going to be all about a step-by-step guide so that you have the right target set for you. So why use SMART targets? Using SMART targets breaks down our aims, making it easier for you to achieve them. So instead of choosing something like, I want to get better at maths, we choose a more specific target so that we can actually feel like we've achieved it. So here's an example of a target that's not necessarily going to help this little girl here. I want to be better at maths. It's great to say that, but do we know whether she's talking about division, working out equal amounts, multiplication, addition, subtraction? We don't know whether it's one of these or even measurement. So that's why it's really important that we use a specific target. Because how does she know she's succeeded if she's got a really woolly target? Has she succeeded if she knows how to add and subtract? Well, it doesn't say in there. Does it mean if she doesn't know her 8 times table, she hasn't succeeded at this target? That's why it's important to set a specific target, because it actually helps us, and it helps you feel more proud of yourself when you actually reach that small step. So again, a reminder, how would she even know she has achieved this goal? That's why specific is the key. Now here's a better example. I want to get better at my 8 times table. So now pause the video. How is he going to know when he's beaten his target? I want to get better at my 8 times table. Pause the video now. How will he know he's achieved it? Yes, well done. If he gets tested on his 8 times table or uses times table Rockstar, then he knows he's got better at his 8 times table. So again, being specific makes it easier to achieve your goals and recognise when you've been successful. So let's go back to what I previously mentioned. What does SMART mean? Let's look at what each letter stands for. S-M-A-R-T. Has anybody got any ideas before we move on? Let's find out. So the S means specific, as if I haven't said it enough already. So specific means that you have to say what you want to do very clearly. Remember, not I want to be better at maths, but I want to improve my 8 times table. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh well, my target was to get better at English, what element of English do you need to improve on? Is it improving your sentence structure by using connectives? Is it to use fronted adverbials independently in my work? Think about your specific target. And M. M means measurable. Measurable targets tell you exactly what you need to do to succeed. So here's an example of something that's not measurable. I want to be able to run 100 metres faster. It's not measurable. How much faster do I want to be able to go? So A means achievable. An achievable target has to be something you can do. I'm going to read for 10 minutes every day this week is probably more achievable than for most people. However, if you said something like, I'm going to read a novel every week, may not be achievable depending on the length of the novel. So some of you might be sitting there and thinking, actually I haven't done much independent reading since I've started home learning. That could be a target for you to set. And it's got a really achievable timescale too, because they could read for 10 minutes every day. And R means relevant. What I'm going to do needs to help me get what I want. If I want to get fit, finding out about famous footballers won't help. It would be more useful to do some training. So whatever you do needs to help you get what you want in terms of your target. Can you think of what the last letter might be? What might it mean? Don't worry about setting your target yet. I'm going to go through the step-by-step process in a moment. Well done if you guessed it. T is for timed. If I don't know how much time I have, then I don't know when to take action. Will you manage your target in a week, in a month, or within the term? You need to think about this one. Some of you might be striving to push yourself a little bit harder with an achievable target for a week. Or those children who are not yet engaging in their lives all the time, you might say, I'm going to engage in all of my lives this week, and that's an achievable target for you. So remember, targets must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and timed. Pause the video now, repeat those 5 words. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timed. So here are some examples of SMART targets. Now they don't contain all the details, but these are some really good starting points. So if you're not sure yet, please listen to me read these ones out. Think about whether any of them apply to you. Join in more in-class lives. Improve my spelling score. Improve my 6 times table, multiplication and division facts. Have a go at the challenge side of arithmetic at least twice a week. Use the UDC method in maths to help me problem solve. To use extra paper to practice my sentences, then write up in best. So this one is looking to challenge children even more to improve their problem solving. This one is looking to improve children for arithmetic. This one is a more starter target, but some of you may need to be thinking about this one in terms of not just joining in more in class lives, but you might say, I'm going to create myself a timetable so that I join all of my lives next week. So, your tasks today. Think of a target specific to my learning. Follow the SMART steps along with this video. Then, reflect on why is it good practice to work towards an achievable target. Go through my work from this week so that I'm ready to answer the questions from in my mind maps. So the one about proudest moments, most challenging work, and your target. Those are the 3 areas that I will be questioning you on Thursday and Friday. So now I'm going to show you a massive blown up version of your sheet. Okay? So your sheet looks like this. You have all the letters down the side and some little questions and some quotes to help you as you go along. I'm going to put it on the flip chart now, and then we're going to go through it with 2 examples. And then in red, I'm going to put starter sentences that you can use. Okay, so here we go. The first one is about being specific. What exactly do you want to accomplish? So you need to think now about your target. I'm going to demonstrate unpicking 2 targets. Here's the first one. So I have found spelling challenging. So I'm going to pretend I found spelling challenging, and actually I'm going to set a spelling target for myself, and I'm going to make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and timed. Okay, so here's S, specific. Not just saying I want to get better at my spellings. What will that look like? So in order for my spellings to be better, I want to be able to get 10 out of 10 in my spelling test. So what exactly do I want to accomplish? Yes, I want to get better at my spellings, but I'm going to show that by achieving 10 out of 10 in my spelling test. That has made it specific, and now I know I can achieve this. So let's now look at measurable in a moment. So pause the video, go to your PDF and have a go at writing a specific target. Come back to me when you're ready for M. So don't forget, I've just shown you about 8 examples of specific targets earlier on the video, so you can go back. Okay, so if you're joining me, you're ready for M, which is measurable. So how will you know when you've met your goal? Okay, so if I'm looking at the spelling test one again, I will know when I've met my goal because I'll get 10 out of 10 in my test. So I want to be able to get 10 out of 10 in my spelling test. When I take the test, I will get 10 out of 10. So pause the video now and have a go. How will you know when you've met your goal? If it's independent reading and you want to read 10 minutes every day, you'll know you've met your goal by posting 5 times in the week, 1 for each day. If you're looking at getting a better score in arithmetic, have you had less comments from Mr. Edwards or myself saying that you need to look at question 2 or 3? How will you know you've met your goal? So pause the video now, go and have a go at M. Then when you come back, you must be ready for A. So now it's about you unpicking attainable. Is it possible to meet this goal with effort by your timeline? So I don't want to set myself anything that's too ridiculous. So if you're someone who's saying, I want to improve my independent reading, and at the moment you're not doing any, and you set yourself a task of reading a whole thick chapter book by Friday, it's not going to be attainable. You need to set yourself a goal that actually you can sit there and go, yeah, it's a little bit challenging, but I can do it and I will do it. So let's look at why I set myself 10 out of 10. Do you think I would have set myself 10 out of 10 for spellings as my target if I was only getting 3 or 4? No, so I've chosen, yes, it is achievable because I'm already getting 8 out of 10. So if you still want to improve your spelling, maybe you choose a target that says, I want to achieve 5 out of 10, and that's halfway. And it's an achievable target and it will still have an impact. In this box as well, you not only need to say why it's achievable, but also how you're going to do it, how you're going to work towards this target. So here's my second part. Yes, it's achievable because I'm already getting 8 out of 10. I'm going to do this by completing some extra spelling work, such as copying the words out onto post-it notes and sticking them around my room. So this is where I get to talk about my plan of action for it. If you're someone who needs to join more live lessons, then you could make yourself, this is where you could talk about your plan to make a timetable and highlight it when you've attended it. So have a go at writing your attainable section. and then come back to me when you're ready for the R section, relevant. Thank you for following me on this step-by-step guide. Okay, so relevant. Is this goal worth working hard to accomplish? So why is it important to, if you're improving spelling, improve your spelling? Why is improving your maths helpful? Why is improving your reading helpful? Link it back to why it's important. So here's my explanation. It is worth working hard for this target because it will help in my learning journey lessons and in maths when I'm completing a reasoning question. So spelling is not only going to help me in learning journey, but in most subjects too. So pause the video now and have a go at your relevant section. Why is it worth having a go at it? If your target is something as simple as presentation because you're struggling to read your writing or your teacher's struggling to read your writing, then your goal is worth it because your workload is going to be cut down because you're not going to be copying it out again. Or if you're challenging yourself to get better at your times tables, why is that going to help you? Well, when you get on times table rock stars, how's it going to help you? Or when it comes to a problem solving question with multiplication in it, that means you're going to be able to answer those better. So pause the video now, have a go at this section, and then join me for the final section. This is the time section. So what is the deadline you set to meet your goal? This is where you need to think about your learning and how confident you are. So I said for this one, I've talked about spelling tests. Now, we all know that we only have one spelling test every Friday. So I didn't think it was achievable for me to do it in 1 week. So I've put the deadline for me to be working on is 3 weeks, as I take a test every Friday and it may take a week or so to improve my score. So I've been really realistic with myself. So remember, you could set yourself a week, a couple of weeks. If you're saying a couple of weeks, please specify, like I've put 3 weeks. It might be 2, 3 or 4. You might set yourself a month. Or if you're working towards a really hard, challenging target, it might be that it's by the end of half term. And that's okay. So long as it's achievable for you and it is slightly challenging. Okay, so now I'm going to give you one more example. Then I'm going to give you some starter sentences in red that you can use if you want to. So here's my next target. Oh, I'm going to change the colour. I didn't want red. Let me change this quickly. No. No. Let's go for green, that's better. So here's another target, specific to me. I'm a child at home that actually isn't completing my home learning every day at the same time. It's kind of sporadic and I'm doing it whenever I feel like it. So I've decided to give myself a specific target to create a timetable to stick to for home learning. So let's look at what that means for measurable. So how will I know when I've met my goal? So I know I will have met my goal when I've submitted all of my work for the week. Now I know that some of you are sitting there and thinking, oh, all of my work. Those children know if they only have to say have done the arithmetic or the reading. So if you want to make yourself a timetable, but you don't necessarily have to complete all of your work anyway because your grown-ups have talked to me, then that's still okay because you'll still create yourself a timetable and only write down what I've asked you to complete. So that's still achievable for you and you'll know you've smashed your target because you will have submitted all the work that I've asked you to do. So let's look at how that is attainable. So for this one, it could be as simple as it is possible to meet this target because the work is set in normal school hours. So you have your normal school day to complete that. Now let's look at relevant. Why is it relevant? So in order, nope, my green back again please, there we go. In order to be a better learner I need to be participating in my learning. So it is worth it because actually in order to be a better learner I need to be participating in my learning. Completing the work will help me to grow. There we go. Now let's look at timed. So what's a good deadline for this one then? If I'm going to make myself a timetable, I might feel a bit overloaded if I do 2 weeks in one and get myself ready. So the timeline for this target is a week. Because that's achievable, I feel. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to pop up some red starter sentences and you can pause the video to help you use them. If you don't want to use them, that's fine. And then we have a reflection to do together. Thank you for joining me on this step by step. I hope this really helps. Okay, here's the first 2 starter sentences. For specific, I'm going to. For measurable, I will know I've met my goal when ... Now I'm going to move on to A and R. And finally, there we go. The deadline for my target is. So I'm just going to swing through all of these ones up here. So the red ones, pause the video when you want to stop and use them. A, R, and T. Now pause the video now until you've finished your SMART grid, then come back to me when you're ready to do your linking thinking column. Okay, so this is the question that we are reflecting about. Now I know normally we draw a column, but I thought with the grid we wouldn't have enough space, and I thought it would be too mean to ask you to do a grid with the SMART letters. So I just want you to do this either on the next page or on its own clean page together, and let's have a look. What is good about having an achievable target? So in a moment I'm going to post up some examples of reflections for this question, but if you fancy a challenge, pause the video now and have your own go first. What is good about having an achievable target? So think about the words in there. Why is it good to have a target anyway? And then think again about why it's good to have an achievable target. Okay, so here's an example of a thought-through reflection for this one. So what is good about having an achievable target? When we are learning, we are constantly striving to improve ourselves. This normally is boosted by having a target, as targets get us to reflect on where we've come from and where we want to go with our learning. This is good practice because it gives us something to work towards and gives us more focus and drive, which leads to better quality learning. Targets are best when they are achievable, because if the target is too easy, then we might get complacent, i.e. a little bored, or if it's too hard, we might give up. So use this one and magpie some ideas, and I'm going to show you another one in a moment. So here's another example. Having an achievable target is good because it gives us something to work towards in our learning and gives us extra purpose. If a target is too easy, we might get bored, and if it's too hard, then we might give up. This is why it's important to be reflective and unpick our learning before we set our target to make sure it's okay. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I can't wait to see your new SMART targets.